Hello, this is Dr. Phillips, historian and author. Before you do anything else, please subscribe to this channel for future reference. If you like, you can contact me and then I will put you on an email list to alert you of new videos. Today I'm going to speak about an intriguing aspect born out of the Crusades, the military orders, or as they should rightly be called, the military religious orders, as both aspects were important in their everyday lives. The military religious orders developed out of the need created in the aftermath of the First Crusade to maintain control of the lands that were conquered. The military orders combined the two most cherished ideals of medieval Christendom, that of chivalry and monasticism. The first specifically created military order was that of the Templars, which was granted papal recognition in 1120 and was forged out of the need to protect the new Crusader Kingdom of Jerusalem and to escort Christian pilgrims to the Holy Land. The order had a humble beginning, with little funding except their individual members' personal wealth. They lived on alms and shared resources, such as horses. Soon their value came to be appreciated and patronage followed. King Baldwin II of Jerusalem, for example, allowed them to use a wing of his former palace in the Dome of the Rock. It was from this building, known to the Crusaders as the Temple of Solomon, that the order took its name, the Poor Knights of Christ and the Temple of Solomon. The monastic code of the Templars called for moral strength, chastity, and integrity. The aims of the Knights Templar were also shared by the Knights of St. John of Jerusalem, also known as the Hospitallers. Like the Templars, they were not created as a military order, their origins, according to some, dating back to the mid-11th century. However, they were formally recognized by the papacy as a religious order in 1113. They started, as their name suggests, offering hospitality to pilgrims visiting the Holy Land, and then quickly took on the role of caring for the sick, a function that continues to the present day. Only later did they take on a military role, the date of which is debated by historians, though most would agree that this had happened by the mid-12th century. What their initial role on the battlefield was is not clear, but even if they were there just to offer advice, this implies a certain amount of martial experience. However, despite taking on a military role, they never abandoned their charitable functions, and wherever they were based, be it Jerusalem, Acre, Cyprus, Rhodes, or Malta, one of the first things they did was to set up a hospital. It has been suggested that military orders were created in imitation of the earlier Muslim institution of the Ribat, which was a fortified convent whose members, the Murabitum, combined a monastic lifestyle with the military activity against the enemies of Islam. However, historians such as Alan Foray have questioned this theory, pointing to an important difference between the two institutions. Firstly, members of the military orders were permanent members their orders, who served continually, whether it be in the central convent or elsewhere, whereas those serving in the Ribat stayed only for a limited period of time. It would therefore be more accurate to compare the Murabitum to Crusaders, who were not constantly involved in holy war as the military orders were. Furthermore, there is no evidence that Christians living in the Holy Land after the First Crusade were aware of the existence of the Rubat. As mentioned at the beginning of this talk, the development of the military orders can be explained in the context of contemporary Christendom. By the early 12th century, fighting for a good purpose was seen as a means to salvation and considered acceptable for a layman who wished to live a religious life. Clerics had to abide by the canonical prohibition on taking up arms. This did not apply to the laity. Nevertheless, there were those who were critical of the existence of the military orders. One concern was that a military order was inferior to a contemplative institution, while others believed that any kind of fighting, whatever the purpose, was sinful. This last view was the most powerful argument against the military orders, to the point that Bernard of Clairvaux felt obliged to defend the Templars in De Laude Novae Militiae, where, while condemning secular war, he praised Christian war. Despite their critics, the Templars soon received general approval in the Church. For example, at the Council of Troyes in 1129, the Templar observances were discussed and formulated into a rule. Simultaneously, the Templars were attracting lay patronage in Western Europe, which required the establishment of branches in many kingdoms. For example, there exists in the UK National Archives a fragment of a roll containing copies of charters to the Templars from the reign of Henry II of England, that's 1154 to 1189. Perhaps a confirmation of grants made at his accession. And this suggests that they held property at an early date in their existence. Indeed, we know the first grants were made in the 1120s, as Evelyn Lord has commented, and by 1185 their holdings in England were considered extensive enough to warrant a survey. In the Holy Land, as opposed to Iberia, no other military orders were founded. The number of existing foundations began to assume a military role, most notably the Hospitallers, as we mentioned, but also, at the time of the Third Crusade, the Teutonic Order. Later, the Order of St. Thomas of Acre and the Order of St. Lazarus took on a military role. Such are the origins and foundations of the military religious orders. How their role developed will be the subject of a future video in this series on the Crusades and the medieval world. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like and follow the History Mentor Facebook page, and visit my website at historymentor.co.uk for further information. Thank you for watching.